Welcome, guys, to the first episode of Level X, the podcast. My name is David, of course. Now, I have been waiting all week for this episode to release. I know you guys have been excited. I know what you guys are uh, excited most about. Basically, you guys want to see what this podcast is going to consist of. I do have alongside me
Jesus.
let's just get straight into it. Now, Jesus, give us a rundown as to what we can expect today.
Well, pretty much this podcast, it's very new, so even we're trying to get accustomed to, the rhythm of it, the flow of it. So, I mean, don't expect things to stay the same forever, but for now, we're going to be trying out this model. It's going to be a 3-part show. First part consisting of books and basically what we learned from them and what we took away from it. So that's what we're going to be talking about on the first part. The second part is going to consist of just entertainment stuff. I'm sorry, guys. I'm very nervous here. Entertainment stuff, just things that we saw in the news that we found interesting, so we want to share them and just discuss it within ourselves. And then lastly, the third part, probably the most fun but yet challenging aspect is going to be seduction / pickup. And like I said, it's something that we are interested in and we're doing on a daily basis. So definitely it's going to be very fun. But to kick things off, David, I want to know, what book have you been reading the past week and what can you tell us about it?
Okay. Now, I am stuck on a certain book at the moment, and the book I'm actually currently reading is called A Theory of Everything by Ken Wilber. Now, I'm currently not finished with the book, so I don't really want to discuss much of the details of the book until I finally finish the book, only because I like just finishing a book and then just going over what I've learned from the book itself. But basically, A Theory of Everything is more about a psychology book, more about also psychological development. So it's a little bit different. It's my first ever psychology book of that sort. But definitely look into it. It does talk about like a lot of psychological development. I'm still not done with it, so maybe next week I will be discussing that book. So just a sneak peek of what to expect next week. So the last book that I read before A Theory of Everything was Gorilla Mindset by Mike Cernovich. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. I am bad at pronouncing last names, so I do apologize for that, guys. But a high bestseller, one of the bestsellers of 2015. But this book is amazing. I definitely highly recommend it for everyone, especially more for like our male audiences. But basically, this book is it teaches you how to take control of your thoughts and emotions. Now, before we go into that, what books have you been reading?
Well, I'm kind of not necessarily a slow reader, but I'm here and there with reading. I try to read an hour a day, but most of the time I come up a bit short. But the last book that I did read is not necessarily a book, but a composition of R.S.D. Tyler. Well, if you know R.S.D. Tyler, he goes by the name of Tyler Durden, or at least did go by that name. And it's his compilation of classic posts just on the RSD forums and just like any kind of big forum that he used to post on. I'm not sure if he does it anymore. I'm not a big follower of him, but I did get his this compilation of his classic posts. So it's basically him diving into several topics with whether it's inner game, outer game, dealing with other alpha males. It's basically just him giving advice to the people on the forums, and now it was converted into a book. And I managed to read it, man, and it was very insightful. I don't know where you can necessarily find this book. I'm not sure if it's on sale. I found it online, so I guess you can just go Google it, like Tyler Durden classic posts. Yeah, if you're giving me the go ahead to just go dive right into this book, it's basically, like I said, Tyler just talking about picking up girls, man, and there's definitely parts that I thought were very, very helpful. To begin, I believe, well, not even necessarily like I'm gonna break down each part of the book. Like I said, he does break it down himself, but you can go ahead and read it yourself to get a full in-depth look at that. The things I'm gonna talk about today regarding the book are just little key things that he spoke on. One of the major points in this book, or at least for me, was that man, if you want to go ahead and just get better with talking to girls, you just got to go ahead and do it, man. Because I'm not sure what the exact quote was, but he basically said, you can be at home on your computer, super super sad. Let's say your girlfriend just broke up with you, right?
Yeah.
You can be on your laptop on Reddit.com, just depressed out of your mind, being like, ah, shit, you know, this sucks. I'm a loser. Like, I'll never find anyone again. Or you can be out there, in basically these social environments. You can go out and talk to people. So it's basically your choice whether you want to go ahead and be sad or whether you want to go and have experiences, man. Because Tyler did get into it where he actually lost his girlfriend and he was having those same thoughts where he's like, oh shit, like, he was down about it. But then he actually went out with some guy that he knew, and he ended up not necessarily pulling a woman, but he did get her number.
But people don't know what pulling or anything like that
Oh,
means
well, if
either.
you don't, sorry guys, if you don't know what pulling is, basically when you take a girl home with you, or yeah, basically, yeah, I think pulling is when you just take a girl home. The other key phrase I'm looking at is closing, and that actually consists of several things. It could be number close, kiss close, but pulling is taking a girl home with you. But he didn't do any of those. He just got a number, and I necessarily, it wasn't like, oh, a huge success, but he did at the end feel like, oh man, like, look, I could have been at home being super sad, but instead I decided to pick myself up, go out, and look, I had a great experience. So you just never know what to expect, basically, man. You just got to go out and do it and just hope for the best. And most of the time, if you go out with that mentality that, oh, you want to have a good time, you will have a good time. So you just never know.
And not only that, but just adding on to that, I think that's the main thing that a lot of people, because I've been in that situation where I'm like, well, I don't know how to talk to women, but I want women in my life,
Right.
right? Um, and you come to this point where, I don't know, this was me, like where are just at home or something, just looking at videos on how to pick up women, and then
Mm-hmm.
you start asking yourself, well, you start giving excuses. Oh, well, that guy, yeah, well, he's just naturally good,
Right.
or yeah, well, those are fake people that he's actually talking to. They're paid, or oh, that guy's just handsome, more handsome than me. Just all these types of excuses. But at the end of the day, it's like those guys put themselves out there. They conquered their fears, because a lot of males or a lot of guys do have that type of anxiety. Where they are afraid to approach women or whatever, or talk to women. So I feel like that's a key point where a lot of people, they're like, well, how do you start or how do you do it? It's just you just have to do it sometimes,
Yeah,
whether
man.
you know it or not. You just have to put yourself out there and actually get that shit done.
Yeah, and pretty much like also Tyler was saying um how he wasn't the best. He's actually probably like, I'm not saying he didn't say he was dumb, but he said, oh, he's not as smart as some of these other pickup artists are, but he's way better than them. And the main thing is because he actually just went super hard at it, man. And that's what it is. A lot of the times, just your effort will beat out any natural skill that any other guy has. So really just commit to it, man. And like Tyler also said, it's just routine, getting out there every day, and just talking to girls. He used the example of a gym. So let's say you're going to the gym, or at least you want to go to the gym, right? Like, he was going to the gym, and there was times where he just didn't feel like it. He was either sick, he was super exhausted, or he might have even been injured or something. But he said the point is you just got to make it into a routine, make it into a habit. Even if you don't feel like it, let's say you don't feel like going to the gym because you're super sick, even just going there to stretch, at least you put yourself in that environment, so you're getting accustomed to the smell of the gym, to the feel of the gym. So even if necessarily you're not good with women, but you want to go ahead and start exposing yourself to that skill set, you should just go out, even with your friends, just to have a good time, just to put yourself in those social environments. Because I know me, for example, I never used to want to go out. I was actually just always home, like on my laptop. But I started going out with you more, David, even with other people, and just being in the social environments, it somehow brings you up. I feel like there's like that energy, and then you just absorb it. So even if you're having a shitty time at home, just going out, I feel like it'll lift your spirits up, even minimally.
Yeah, and then also what's crazy is that we actually seen that in person. How one of our friends, Jim,
Oh yeah.
one of our friends, um, we seen how good he is now in regards to like his social skills.
Hmm.
Uh, and he said that he started like 6 months back. When 6 months back he couldn't even go up to a person and ask for the time, and now we see him making out with girls or whatever or
Yeah.
chicks and going out on multiple dates and having this abundance lifestyle. So we actually seen it in you in person where someone can make that drastic change, whether you never ever had a girlfriend before or even had multiple girlfriends. You can always improve your game or improve that type of that life that you want.
Yeah, man. And just before we end up this talk on Tyler's book, one other my bad guys, I'm pretty nervous here. One of the other things that he was talking about, man, is just shifting your mentality, because a lot of guys, what he's saying is that a lot of guys, they don't want to admit that they're bad women. But the
Or
matter of
sometimes the bad thing is admitting that supposedly you are good when in reality you're not.
right, or even just living, a lie. He's saying you got to shift your mentality to believe that no one is good with women, because in all honesty, most of the time that's the case. Like I don't think I've ever met someone who was just necessarily like naturally good with women. I mean, there's guys who know how to talk to women, but there is like some level of skill that has to go behind it. So he basically just says you have to shift your mentality to believe that no one is good with women, because most of the time a lot of guys prevent themselves from talking to women because they don't want to break their ego. They don't want to hurt their ego. A lot of guys, they're like, oh well, I'm good with women. They fool themselves into believing that. So let's say a set doesn't go good, and a set is basically just one-on-one with a girl. Let's say a set does not go good. It'll hurt them because they've lived this life believing, oh, I'm good with women. Because no one wants to say, oh, I'm awkward or I don't have communication skills. So they're like, oh, I'm good with women. But let's say a set doesn't go good, it really damages their ego, and kind of their world gets shattered. And that's what a lot of guys are afraid of, man. That's why they don't approach. They're like, oh, they're afraid of breaking their egos, of hurting themselves. But if you go into, the game, believing that, oh, no one is good with women and I'm just here to learn, I'm just here to improve, then that'll really help you out. And I know, me, for example, I'm still kind of afraid to go talk to girls. So I'm definitely still learning. I'm definitely still trying to implement that new mindset. But definitely go check out this book, guys. Let me go ahead and just give you guys the full title of the book. So maybe if you guys want to go ahead and check it out yourselves, the title of the book.
And all these links for all these books that we recommend are going to be in the description below. Also follow our Twitter account. What's our Twitter account?
It's just Level X Podcast.
Level X Podcast. We're going to be tweeting out links to the books, and just some articles that we talk about or that we come across. Level X Podcast is the best way to get more experience or more knowledge from what we're doing.
And the title of the book, the full title, is Real Social Dynamics Presents Tyler Durden's Classic Post Collection. So
I'm wondering if we can actually share this with our listeners.
I'm sure we can. I mean, I'm not like spoiling anything major here. I'm just going over.
No, what I'm saying is sharing the book.
Oh, like sending it to them?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. That sounds illegal. But basically, guys, he does talk about inner game, outer game. He does some field reports, so you get to read exactly what happened in some of his major interactions. And he also talks about the female psychology and paradigm shifts, which is, like I said, the changing the way you think. So it's very, very detailed, and it's awesome, man. I definitely recommend this. It's not that long either. So I mean, I knocked it out like in a couple of days. I actually read it twice. So definitely a big recommendation. It definitely it covers game. It even gives definitions on what game is. So, I mean, it's a perfect, I feel, starting point for anyone who wants to, get into seduction and picking up girls. So, check it out, guys, if you want to. But David, Gorilla Mindset, what do you got for us?
Definitely. So I am looking over, Gorilla Mindset and just going over as to what I read, just to refresh my memory a
Right.
little bit. But like I said, this book was amazing to me. If you guys haven't checked it out, definitely check it out, guys. Really loved this book. It was a lot of knowledge, especially for men. But it, like I said, it does talk about a lot of things. Specifically, it talks about frame control, state control mindset, nutrition, finances, and other topics. Basically, for a man to live a good life. Now, some important messages from the book was number one was taking care of yourself, and this comes from not only mentally but also physically, and it talks about how your health is one of the most important things in your life, especially for men. um, and I think this is, I'm a big advocate for this, man, because like a year ago or whatever, um, I went through some depressing moments or whatever, but I think what really helped me out was investing into a gym membership.
Mm-hmm.
Besides investing into like books and everything, I think one of the biggest things that helped me out mentally and physically was going to the gym. Just going to the gym was a big change. It just brought a lot of change, positive change to my life.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do you become stronger, but you start seeing changes in your body, man. Just the way you look,
Yeah.
which brings on a big confidence boost
Yeah, it
to how you
does.
look,
Yep.
just everything, man. Seeing your body change in good ways just brings something amazing, and then that turns into a habit, and then you start keep doing it, and you start lifting bigger weights, and it's just a whole positive thing, man. Positive change. So I think that's one of the biggest keys from this book, that it says take care of yourself. And also, it does recommend also supplements that he takes, that Mike takes. And by supplements, he recommends, top of the line supplements. Now, I'm not 100% sure if they fully work. I know he says that they work for him. But some of the supplements, I did look into reviews and did look more into information. And some of these supplements that he does recommend have amazing rewards as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's dope, because a lot of people are sometimes lost, but this book is amazing when it comes to nutrition and all that.
That's dope.
Number two is discipline yourself. Now, I did read a book before this, I believe, or like two books before this, where it was called
Isn't that No Excuses?
No Excuses. But it talks about self discipline. Basically, you have to control yourself, man. And by controlling yourself, I mean you have to be disciplined enough to know that you have to put yourself on the line, where even if you don't want to do shit, you still have to do it regardless. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you still have to put yourself out there, and sometimes your mind or your brain works in weird ways where it tries to stop you from doing something that is going to benefit you in the long run, and I think that's what's one of the main reasons that holds a lot of people back, is that instant gratification,
Mm-hmm.
where they don't want to do something because they're not going to see any type
An
of,
instant result.
yeah, right away. Um, and I think that's what holds a lot of people back, because they're like, why should I do this when I'm not going to see no type of reward for it? But it's like, why do you rather suffer later than suffer right now, so you could gain the rewards later,
Right, and even going back to my book, Tyler was saying how a lot of the little things that you do to improve yourself, they'll have minimal rewards. So you'll see like a 0.001 improvement. But if you like take that 0.001 percent of improvement and like do that every single day, by the end of the year, you'll have, I mean, what is that like? You'll improve over a lifetime, man. So it's that little minimal change that'll really help you out in the long run.
Yes, exactly. And then one of the biggest other key points, and this is probably going to wrap up this segment, is basically investing in yourself, and how Mike called it is you Inc. Basically, a lot of people like to live their lives through other people. You have a bunch of friends, right? And then
Right.
one of the guys, always there's one person that goes out and does crazy shit or
Mm-hmm.
does, puts himself on the line and basically does amazing shit, cool shit. He has a bunch of cool other friends. Anyways, and a bunch of times guys don't don't really believe in themselves. And what Mike calls it is that basically think of yourself as a company, you Inc. Um, so why would you rather invest in someone else or something else than yourself? Like think of yourself as a company. So whatever you do, it builds the value of your company.
Right.
So it's like just invest in yourself, believe in yourself, and just think of yourself as a company. Like, all right, well, I should probably do this because it's gonna raise the value of my company.
That's a great metaphor. That's awesome, man. That's actually really cool. And the title of it one more time.
The title of what?
The book.
Oh, the book. The title of the book is Gorilla Mindset by Mike Cernovich. He actually does have a podcast as well.
All
and
right.
and this book is amazing. I just covered some of the
Right.
some of the key points, but there's probably a lot of other key points that probably you guys will get from it. But it does talk about as well how he developed his podcast and it talks about finances on how basically to start your own company and just a bunch of different topics that will help a lot of men
And
out.
does he give like an explanation as to why it's called gorilla mindset? Is there like
Well,
a reason?
initially I thought this book was going to be more about being an alpha
Oh,
and
okay.
right. Like I thought it was gonna be more of a seduction book where by seduction I mean relationships and how to become a better man. I guess you
Yeah.
can say, but no, it wasn't exact. It wasn't even related to seduction at all. It was basically more on how to control your life basically. And I think it does reference a gorilla like in the first paragraph of the book,
Yeah.
but I can't really remember it. But what I'm assuming, I think, is just basically how a gorilla is the alpha
Jungle.
of the jungle or whatever, and how the gorilla, he basically is in control of himself. Basically, he leads his pack, but
Right.
also, he gets shit done. So I'm assuming that's what it relates to. I could be wrong because I think he relates to it once. Like he references the gorilla once,
And then never
and
again.
then never again, and after that, he never again. But I mean, it's a cool
No,
title.
right.
It's a
That's a
cool
cool
title.
title. That's very attention grabbing. But that wraps it up for this section of the podcast, guys. We don't have a neat transition into the second part, so we're just gonna cut it off. And when we return, we will be talking about some entertainment stuff. So stay tuned. All right, guys. So we're back. Level X podcast. It is what it is. So now it's section two. Like I said, these transitions are just so sloppy. But now this is the part where we kind of just look over this past week and talk about anything that interested us. Of course, this podcast will be changing and improving as time goes along. So you never know. This whole section could get cut off entirely. But for now, we're gonna kick it off with Drake. Now Drake did released two songs off. Apparently, they're off views from the Six, his upcoming, what is it, like fifth studio album now, fourth. I don't know. I don't really consider if you're reading this, it's too late a studio album, but they're charging for it, so whatever. Anyways, Drake's views from the Six is coming out, I think, sometime this month. So it's gonna be a very popular album, no doubt about it. Drake is probably one of the most popular artists today. But like I said, he released two songs. One of them called Pop Style. The other one, I don't even honestly remember what it was called because I did not like those tracks at all. Um, Damn, what are they called? David, come on, man, help me out here. What were those two tracks called?
What do you mean?
Those tracks that Drake dropped. They were
Yeah,
called
pop style
Pop Style.
featuring the one the only what's his name?
Pop Style was featuring The Throne.
The Throne, which was
Drake and Kanye. But what about the other one? That's the
okay.
song I didn't even care for.
One dance.
Oh, it's called One Dance, guys. And just judging from those two titles, you can already tell that these songs were not that good. But regardless, before I completely go off on those songs, what are your thoughts about it, David? Like, did you like those two songs, man?
Actually, well, I like the production of pop style. But besides the content, the quality of both songs, I did not. I think, yeah, I'm not a big fan of what Drake has been releasing lately.
Yeah, man. I mean, um, just I don't even care about the other one, like the dance song. I just that pop style was supposed to be a banger, man. I mean, it has Kanye. Apparently, it says featuring Jay-Z, but he only had two lines, so I'm not even sure if that constitutes as a feature. But pretty much, if this is what we had to expect from Views from the Six, man, it's gonna be a disaster. It's gonna, oh man,
Well, you're a
it's
big advocate for basically saying Drake is not going to release a classic album. That's what
I'm not, because I
you
mean,
don't believe in
I
him.
don't. I want to believe in Drake, man. I know he has the potential to make good music, but it all depends on who's writing for him. Oh no, I'm just kidding. No, Drake. This album's gonna suck, man. And this is what we had to expect because it's nothing new. It's nothing like groundbreaking. It's not like something that we'll have to listen to. Well, that we'll want to listen to like even 5 years from now, man. So far, Take Care has still been his best album, in my opinion.
And that was a weekend album.
Oh, yeah, that was written by The Weeknd. So, I mean, so far, Drake has shown to us that if he doesn't have The Weeknd, he doesn't have the potential to make a classic album because, I mean, I guess it's if you're reading This Is Too Late, it was okay. I mean, for what it was, like party music, in my opinion, that's what it was. Something to listen to like in the clubs or when you have like
What about Nothing Was the Same?
what was that one? Oh, that one though. That one, you know what? It was forgettable for me, man. Like if you
I thought that one was better than If
take
You're
care.
Reading
Oh
This.
no, definitely. It was better than if you're reading this, but it was forgettable. I think like I don't listen to any music off that album anymore. I actually enjoy some songs off If You're Reading This Too Late, like the song Energy, the song of uh that of this what is it called?
Which one?
With my woes. With my woes, right? It's not the name of the song, but I was running through this sick. Like, what was it called? I
I
don't
have no
remember.
idea.
You know what? You know what? I don't remember the name of that
Six
song.
God?
No, it wasn't Six God. It was
I think Know Yourself, right?
yeah, Know Yourself. Those two songs were like better than anything on Nothing Was the Same. I honestly don't remember any songs from Nothing. Tuscan Leather, that song was good though.
Yeah.
But regardless, guys, I mean, just based off if pop style and that other dance song is like
But
anything
why
from Views
why
from the
don't you
Six,
like pop style? Let's see. Why don't you like it?
because it's boring, man. It's boring. Like I don't know, man. Just like Drake. First of all, Drake's lyrics, like, what is the dude even saying? Like, he's not saying anything.
Yeah, he's
And
not.
Views from the Six, you're expecting it to be very introspective. You expect it to be Drake reflecting on his whole journey to get to where he is now. Views from the Six, like, he's on the top. Like, he's looking out into basically his country, and he's like, oh, this was me. Like, the Six is something that Drake created. So I'm expecting it to be some godly stuff. He is the sixth god, but I'm getting some basic rhymes. I'm getting a forgettable beat that I didn't think was that hard. Like it honestly was boring to me. The song was boring to me, and I honestly don't even remember how the like how it goes. That's how little I listened to this song because that's how much I disliked it. But I don't know if you have anything different to say, man. I'm not looking forward to the album at this point. I mean, if he drops some other cool, like even Summer 16, like it was hot for like 2 weeks, and then like I don't feel like listening to it again because Meek Mill destroyed him after he dropped that.
And I think at the end through all this, I feel Meek Mill is actually winning. Very, very is winning this beef because if you think about it, Drake hasn't released a good song since Back to Back.
That's true. That's actually very true. What the hell?
Um, he has released all this type of music, but
Was
if it wasn't,
Hotline Bling after?
that was before.
Oh, that was before.
Because when he dropped Back to Back, no,
Or-
actually because think about it, that was his last good song, and after that he got exposed. He dropped Summer 16, got exposed for that again,
Oh, right.
and then after that Meek has been catching up to.
Well,
to
Meek has been getting a little bit more popular. But yeah, man, I mean, if Drake can somehow pull a 180 and just like completely go off on the next song he drops, or even just the entire album. It is reported that, like I said, his album is going to be dropping sometime later this month. So we'll see what happens. At this point, I mean, my expectations aren't going to be high for this album. People are undoubtedly going to support it and stuff because it's Drake. But I mean, at the end of the day, if Drake doesn't come out with some godly stuff, he's not going to be one of the greatest of all time.
Well, he has said that he doesn't really care about, albums being coined, classics or creating classic
Well,
albums.
that's the thing. That's the kind of stuff people say when they know they're not going to drop a classic. So already based off Drake's assessment of that, we already know this album's going to be awful, just awful. Moving on to lighter subjects, David. UFC 200, man. I know you're definitely hyped for this. I know you've been watching a lot of UFC recently. So just based off the card, man, so far we got Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz, number 2. We got Frankie Edgar versus Jose Aldo for the interim featherweight title of the world. We have Amanda Nunes, recently announced Amanda Nunes.
Well, not officially.
Not officially? I thought that was official now. Regardless, it looks like reportedly it's going to be Amanda Nunes facing off against Misha Tate for the bantamweight title, women's title of the world. So, I mean, so far it's looking like a pretty stacked card. There's even like now speculation whether there will be a John Jones versus Daniel Cormier fight also for the title. But so I don't know, man. It's looking pretty good so far. What are your thoughts about this, man?
UFC 200 is looking like an amazing card. I'm still a little, like I'm still gonna invest into the card, but I feel like the way the UFC is ran, I think it's a little bullshit, to tell you the truth.
Oh wow! All right.
Just because sometimes the UFC, how Dana wants it, he says that he wants it to be respected like a real sport, but in reality, it's not necessarily about the fighters, but more about like promotion and trying to sell. When it should be more about, all right, well, these fighters deserve these types of fights.
No,
and just saying Tate going against Nunez, I think that's kind of like bullshit for Holmes. Just because Dana wants Ronda to come back.
Right. Well, he doesn't want Holly to like lose her value, basically. So I mean, I get the aspect of it's like ran like a business, but I feel like a lot of the times they make the right decisions, man. I mean, I was never a big fan of boxing, to be honest. But even then, sometimes I don't know, like boxing, a lot of it was boring because they didn't have a lot of build up to these fights, man. I don't know. The promotion that UFC does is amazing. I think the way it almost is like, it reminds me of like WWE and the way that they promote their fights.
It's exactly like that. But it's real fighters,
right? Which is like, I feel like it perfectly blends like the entertainment aspect, especially with like Conor McGregor, with like the sport of it, and like I don't know.
But I think it takes away a lot from, the art of MMA. I think these guys are putting their lives on the line, and then not getting rewarded with the.
No, I definitely understand that. I mean, the whole Holly Holm doesn't get a rematch until Ronda gets a rematch.
Or even McGregor, like...
not having...
Nate.
Oh, right. Like, he doesn't want to defend the title yet because he wants to beat Nate. Oh, I mean... No, I definitely understand that, but I feel like... I haven't been a UFC fan for the longest, but I feel like there has to be some kind of difference between, like, McGregor and Rousey, between these other fighters, because... There's no doubt about it. Ronda Rousey and like Conor McGregor are like the two most popular fighters so far. Like the UFC has like boomed in popularity, so they're like kind of the heads of the organization at this point. So I mean, they're gonna have some special privileges there, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. But after all this, they are saying hopefully the UFC 200 hopefully is gonna feature Nate versus Conor too. Obviously. Hopefully Cormier versus Jones.
That's going to be bad. You've seen a lot of John Jones recently. I've seen you watching it.
I actually saw all his fights starting from when he won the title. When he became the youngest.
And is he the greatest of all time, pound for pound?
I'm not a big I'm not like the biggest UFC fan. I barely got
Into
converted
yeah.
into a fan, but I love the sport. I love UFC. And Jones is amazing, man.
And how do you become a UFC fan? Is there like some kind of special juice you got to drink to become? How did you become a UFC fan,
Oh, how
man?
did you become a UFC
Me?
fan?
Oh, there was a special juice.
Oh, okay.
There was a special
And then
juice.
obviously Tate versus Nunez,
Yeah.
which is weird. They're saying maybe Lawler versus Condit 2, and then maybe Edgar versus and obviously Edgar versus Aldo 2
Yeah.
for
That's
the interim title.
right.
And that's looking like a stacked card, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be an amazing card. I I mean, I don't want to do any predictions either because I'm totally gonna get them all wrong. Um, but is there like, let's say that was the card. What fight would you be looking forward to the most? Let's say you could only watch one fight.
Probably Jones versus Cormier.
Yeah, Jones versus. If it was that, I'd probably watch McGregor versus Diaz. Honestly, like I don't know. I think that fight will be a little bit more hype. All right, guys. So other than that, let's see. Anything else this week? I think the Harry Potter World Land thing opened at Universal Studios in California, so that's gonna be super awesome. If you're looking to take me or your kids or me there, I'm definitely open and available for that. Any weekend of the year. And other than that, David, anything else that we missed? That we missed?
Nope. That I don't think we missed anything, man. I think that wraps up this week's episode of Level X Podcast.
Yeah, I think so too, guys. Next week we'll have an even better episode because like I said, we're still definitely, trying to get the best podcast available to you guys. Next week we'll definitely go more in depth, even at section 3 into the mix, which is gonna be, like I said, seduction. But for this episode, that's pretty much it. This is definitely what you can expect, even better next time. So thank you guys so much for watching. Say bye to the fans, David.
Later, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening.
Hey guys, if you like this episode of the Level X podcast, make sure to definitely leave a review. We are on iTunes, we are on SoundCloud, and we are on YouTube. You just search up Level X podcast, and also leave a comment if you are on YouTube on what you liked, what you think we can improve on, anything you would like us to talk about. Also, if you have any questions, please email us at levelxpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll be sure to respond to you or even answer it on the show. Follow us on Instagram at Vincent Studios, VNCT Studios, for any updates. Also on Twitter at LevelX Podcast. We will definitely be posting on there, also responding to questions and any comments you guys might have. We will also be posting the books we talked about on this episode of the Level X Podcast on Twitter. We'll be posting the links on where you can purchase those books. So definitely check us out there. And thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you guys next week.